Welcome to This Week in East Brunswick. Today we celebrate Moth Week with the Friends of the East Brunswick Environmental Commission at Butterfly Park. Then we honor the recipients of the East Brunswick Recreation and Parks Advisory Board Volunteer of the Year. Children's Summer Theater held a tribute to Pop, and we were able to speak with some of the campers and the director about the show. Plus we have a brand new segment of Passion with Purpose. All this and more, so stay with us. In honor of Moth Week, the Friends of the East Brunswick Environmental Commission and residents alike came out to Butterfly Park. EBTV was there to speak with those involved.
Well, we're at the Butterfly Park. This is the first major event of National Moth Week in New Jersey, holding a butterfly net because we have a whole host of activities today, everything from a temporary post office with a special National Moth Week cancellation to kids' activities. We're all hunting for butterflies and moths, caterpillars, so we hope you're here today.
There's actually lots of people and kids coming out, and it's really great to see that people are interested in coming out to Butterfly Park and look for little creatures. National Moth Week started right here in East Brunswick and is now a worldwide event. This year there are events in 40 countries on all continents except of Antarctica. There are events in people's backyards, in parks. There are events in U.S. national parks, really everywhere. And I encourage everybody to check out more information on our website at nationalmothweek.org.
First of all, the Moth event is a national event and is actually international consequences. And it's the first time that the East Brunswick Post Office has a special postmark for any event. I collect first day covers. I designed the envelope, and I had the butterfly stamp postmarked with the special postmark. So this is actually a national event for stamp collectors also. I understand that the Postal Bulletin published the information about it, and the postmaster told me that people from all over the country are sending in their envelopes to have the special postmark for National Moth Week.
Well, it's great to get involved in the community. The Postal Service wants to be involved in every community across the countries, and we just thought this was a great thing to do. We're really excited about this.
So are all the stamp collectors.
Yeah. National Moth Week really started right here at Butterfly Park, where we had our first moth night for the local community in 2005. To our surprise, we got a lot of people who were actually interested in coming out at night looking for night-flying insects. And last year we started thinking about maybe there are people interested in other places. And first we thought about doing a New Jersey event, so one night having moth nights all over the state.
Too small.
Yeah, well, that wasn't enough. And actually, it started as a chat, as a conversation over Facebook, and we said let's do a U.S. event, and it kind of grew up to be from a U.S. moth night into a worldwide moth week.
This was an extension of the Great Oak Park. Great Oak Park was an arboretum when it was first built. It has a wide selection of different kinds of trees, and this was some of the open wooded area off to the side. So when Dave Moskowitz and Steve Albert, the chairman of the Environmental Commission, came with the idea to build a butterfly park. Obviously, tax dollars always being as tough as they are, we couldn't figure out exactly how to make it happen, except we came up with an economical way by making contributions from various people. A builder cleared the path for us. The Environmental Commission and their volunteers proceeded to put in all the butterfly plants and kept it as a natural area. And it's fantastic. I think it's great.
Everything in here was done by volunteers, and we encourage everybody to come out and check out the park.
I caught a bee mimic, a few swallowtails, and some other species of butterflies and moths. I really like to look at all the butterflies and their species, and I really like catching them too. We really wanted to find some interesting bugs and butterflies, because we think they're really pretty and cool to look at.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that we can come and explore stuff and see some new stuff and do scavenger hunts, arts and crafts. It's really cool.
It has a lot of interesting plants and animals that you don't see everywhere. So I saw some butterflies that had yellow on them with black dots.
Well, I've been to Moth Night several times already, and I've been to where the different events that they have. And I thought this was an interesting idea to have this postage stamp done of commemorating Moth Week. It's one of the. It's just another way to promote good environment, and remembering that we're all just part of this environment, and we got to maintain the ecosystems around us. And this beautiful park is a perfect location to do that.
Hello, my name's David Lonsky, and I'm president of East Brunswick's Recreation Parks Advisory Board. The RPAB is made up of citizen volunteers in the township, and each year we recognize an individual and an organization for their volunteerism and support of our township. This year, the 2013 award recipients for the individual is Jim Manfreda, and corporate is the East Brunswick Stop and Shop. Jim Manfreda passed away on May 30th of this year, but his legacy will live on for all that knew him and have benefited from his tireless volunteerism. Jim lived in the township for over 30 years and made a tremendous impact on the township, especially in the area of youth sports. Jim's volunteer spirit was always an inspiration for others to get involved. He truly led by example. With me today are Jim's children, John and Lisa. Welcome.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you for coming in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your father, what you remember about him with respect to youth sports and some of his involvement in the community?
Sure. You know, growing up in the 60s and early 70s, a wonderful time in East Brunswick. My dad was very, very involved with the organizational sports, especially St. Bart's football and the baseball league in town. He also did some work with the rec department with basketball. St. Bart's, I can remember way back, starting when I was about 9 years old, playing football for them. He was the equipment manager, and we just had a house full of equipment down the basement. Just a sea of golden helmets, shoulder pads, and all kinds of equipment. And friends and family and kids would come over, and he would suit them up at the house. So it was a truly incredible experience.
I know he also was involved in scheduling the baseball, and that was often a family affair and a kitchen table affair.
Absolutely. The kitchen table really wasn't for eating dinner. It was more about the paperwork and the organization of schedules for football as well as baseball. Yeah.
And Lisa, one of your father's biggest attributes was that he always wanted to make sure that you and the girls in town had an equal opportunity to participate in sports. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
That's right, Dave. He was very involved with the East Brunswick Rec Department, working with on the girls' side of sports. The same thing, and coached me in basketball and softball all the way, and worked with them to help with the scheduling and the teams. And I do remember he did try to make it as equal as possible and get like the girls to play on the boys' fields. I do remember he actually got us to play a tournament at the EBBMA, and he went there in the morning and actually shoveled out the pitching mound so that we could play. And then after the tournament was done, he put it back. So
well, your father was always hands-on.
Yeah.
Whatever needed to be done, you can count on him for.
Yeah.
John, why don't you speak a little bit about some of the physical things that he did aside from reconditioning helmets on the fields. I know he was always one to be the first person to make sure the water was off the baseball
field.
Sure.
He, as much as he was involved with football in St. Bart's, he was also part of the East Brunswick Baseball Managers Association, and he was instrumental in helping to construct that first showcase field as well as the second. So he was always out there with a shovel, with a rake, just getting the fields ready, getting the food stand ready as well. He even coaching players. I mean, we would just be picking up friends and going from house to house, picking up friends, going to the ball game. If we won, we'd go to 7-Eleven or Dairy Queen, yeah. And even if we didn't win, we'd still go there. But and then dropping the friends off, and he was just a hands-on guy.
Fond memories. I know when the country celebrated its bicentennial in 1976, your father was involved in organizing the 200-inning baseball game here in town. Lisa, I'll let you talk a little bit about that and what you remember.
Yeah, it was actually very exciting, and he definitely was a key player in getting the girls to play in that game as well. So, you know, all the softball teams, and I remember because we actually played baseball, so we, you know, pitched baseball underhand and played in the 200-inning game as well.
Yeah, and that event went around the clock for
went
quite
day and night. In fact, yeah.
One of the things was to be able to play at midnight or past midnight, and it was up at the high school. We played at the high school field, which was kind of a neat thing too.
You know, always very interesting and good times. Anything else accomplishment-wise that you can say that that inspired you from what you remember of your father's volunteerism and efforts and things that you're now doing in your life?
You know, someone said to me at my dad's passing that, and I thought this was really kind of neat, that no matter what kind of player you were, he always made time for you. So you didn't have to be the best. It just didn't really matter who you were. He was always there to help you, whether you were the first player in or the last player off the bench. So I thought that was kind of neat, that someone had that fond memory of him, and I certainly try to carry that as well.
I'll ask you the same question, Liz.
Yeah, he really, you know, inspired me, coached me all the way up since I could play, and that led me to coach my own daughter in sports as well. So.
And your daughter's quite an athlete at the high school level, and hopefully beyond.
Moving on, yes.
So we definitely want.
I know he really enjoyed watching her play at East Brunswick, so that was.
Yes. Once again, I want to thank you for spending time with us, and on behalf of a very grateful community, the time that you lost growing up because he was involved with other activities and other sports programs, certainly, you know, he made a tremendous impact on our township. And I want to encourage everyone out there to enjoy the great facilities that this township has, some that Jim himself put the hard work himself getting it off the ground and getting it together. July is Recreation Month, so please, everyone, get out there, enjoy all of the great facilities that this town has to offer. Thank you.
Summer isn't always about the beach and the sun, but also about summer performances. This is Candy Chow reporting for EBTV, and currently we are at the high school right before the Children's Summer Theater performance. Are you ready for the show? Well then, let's go.
Today's performance is something unlike we have pretty much done ever. We actually did a whole musical review of just pop music. We started from 1920s and we worked our way all the way up through today.
Okay, so what are the kids performing today?
Ooh, they are performing. There's about one song per every 5 years. They have stuff from burlesque era, Madonna, even stuff that's on the radio now, Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys. It's crazy. And they work on it Monday through Thursday, and they work with a staff member and a small group, and my staff is absolutely amazing, and we do all the songs and choreography and acting, and it's a great time for everybody.
So are you guys excited about today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I can't wait.
Okay. What made you guys join the Children's Summer Theater program?
Well, I always liked singing and acting, and I really wanted to go to camp, and we found this camp, and I really wanted to go here.
I liked it because I wanted to go to camp because I knew that the first thing I said was singing once I was a baby, and that made me come here because they were singing and stuff.
I always like to be on camera, and I like all the fun activities that we do and on stage and the dances. It's very hard, but it's also very fun at the same time.
I like dancing and singing, so I thought that maybe I could do the camp.
The goal and objective of summer theater is simply for kids to have fun, and most importantly though, it's for kids to learn. I'm all about kids learning new skills, or whether they learn how to act or sing or dance. Above all, I want them to be a strong performer, but even more than that, I want them to be a good person. We learn about teamwork, commitment, attention to other people, and making other people feel good. So that's kind of what we do here.
What was your favorite part about this year?
Mostly like being with all like my friends that I saw in the school year and like just like singing and stuff. I like seeing new people and making more friends. I like doing shows.
I like how I get to be with my friends and have a good time at the same time. It's a good combination.
I liked meeting new friends.
Will you guys be joining next year again?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to join next year.
Yeah.
Joining summer theater is pretty much very easy. You just have to go and make a call to recreation, and you can join, I believe, from 3rd grade through age 16, and then you can actually work here and be on our staff.
Since our last year, we have more like responsibilities, and we just get to do more things and have more privileges than we used to.
Because we're not really looked upon as like campers anymore. So
in between campers and counselors, and yet next year we'll hopefully be counselors.
I've been at summer theater for about 15 years, and for me, I love it only because I get to see kids grow and really become who they are as like productive teenagers and adults, and I see them learn from us and then take the lessons that they've gained from us and pass it on year after year.
I hope you guys enjoyed the performance as much as I did. Again, this is Kenny Chow reporting for EBTV.
Hi, I'm Cindy O'Connor with the new edition of Passion with Purpose, and I'm really excited today here to be talking about the spiritual aspects of stones and crystals. Joining me is an expert on the topic, Tina Smith. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you, Cindy.
We have here a copy of one of the books that I know you recommend, The Book of Stones, Who They Are and What They Teach. What's this who?
Well, shamanically speaking, everything has spirit. So one can learn how to journey shamanically and journey to the spirit of each stone and converse with it. Ask it, how can it help you, what it's here for. Every stone has its own properties, you'll find out. They all help in different ways. And they're very eager to help us. All we have to do is ask.
So I'm sure some of the audience is thinking, oh, that's very woo-woo, superstitious. What do you say to people who respond that way?
Well, historically, stones have been attracted by people forever. Gosh, the Egyptians loved their lapis lazuli. They would crush it and use it for makeup. Gold was considered the skin of the gods. Gold is very revered. Stones have been with people forever, and we're all attracted to them for some reason or another. We all wear jewelry. Why do we pick it out? What makes us want that piece? Do we wear gold or silver? Do we like garnets? Do we want diamonds? Something attracts us about the stone. So there's a give and take with the stones already, even if it's unconscious or subconscious.
Well, I like diamonds. I wear my Herkimer diamonds for the occasion today.
Lovely.
You know, we're going to talk about some of the stones that you've brought and their special properties. What would you like to start with here?
I'd really like to start with the labradorite. Labradorite has a wonderful folk tale associated with it. It's said that the Inuit people found it on the coast of Labrador in Canada, and when they cracked it open, it released the aurora borealis. And you can see from the stone that it has this beautiful sheen, a rainbow sheen that's just gorgeous.
And I happen to be wearing one. What are the properties that people associate with it?
Well, that's for dreaming, for journeying. It's really helpful for people who are interested in the shamanic path. That will help them along the way.
Mm-hmm. And what else did you bring today?
I brought a Tibetan quartz that has its got a bit of water in it. It's called anhydrite quartz. And if you tilt it, you can see the water traveling back and forth. It's got a little air bubble in there. And that water formed inside this quartz, it's got to be at least 135 million years old. It's a fabulous piece.
You know, even I go into doctors' offices now and I see pieces of quartz crystal or amethyst crystals. What are the properties that people would bring those into a practice, a healing office, for example?
Well, something like amethyst is good for soothing the atmosphere. And quartz is great for clearing any negativity. So they would be great things to have in any office, especially a doctor's office where people want to be calm. Yes, you're seeing them all over the place now. It's wonderful.
I see you've brought a piece of lapis as well. Tell us about that.
Yes, the lapis lazuli is a beautiful blue color, and it's got flecks of a gold color in it. And as I mentioned, the Egyptians revered this stone, and they used it for the makeup. They also used it on their coffins. Everybody's familiar with the King Tut coffin and how well it was embedded with all these beautiful stones. Lapis was a stone of royalty, and it is a beautiful color.
I know that you teach people how to work with stones and crystals. Can you talk a little bit about that? What do you do?
Sure. I give workshops on stones, and the first thing I do is lay out a bunch of stones, a lot like this. And I ask people to pick the one that resonates with them. And then I will ask them to journey to the spirit of the stone or meditate with the stone if they're not familiar with journeying. You can just hold it and meditate with it. And you usually get some kind of message from the spirit of the stone. And almost always this person has something going on in their life that they needed some help with. And the stone that they were attracted to is for that particular purpose. If they've got some worries, if they've got some money issues, I don't know how or why it works, but it always seems to. They go to the stone that they need, and they get some kind of excellent information.
So you're saying even if a person is not particularly intuitive or doesn't see themselves that way, this works?
Yes, yeah. The stones, for some reason, we're attracted to just what we need.
Tina, thinking back to some of the work that you've done, can you give us an example of some insight or some revelation that you've had in working with a particular stone?
Well, here's an example. I was starting to collect the stones, and I didn't know why, but petrified wood was really interesting to me, so I got several different pieces. This piece here is actually a piece of petrified palm tree. Fascinating. But petrified wood is all about moving through a block in your life. And I had a huge block at that time. And as I gathered stones, I began to realize how important each one was to me and what they were telling me. And that was definitely a revelation. I was able to work through my blocks by meditating with the petrified wood.
If people would like to contact you, get in touch with you, how can they do that?
They can call me. My cell is 215-850-1696. I'd be happy to talk to anyone at any time.
Tina, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Cindy. Pleasure to be here.
For Passion with Purpose, I'm Cindy O'Connor, asking what passion are you realizing in your life?
Be sure to catch a brand new episode of Totally East Brunswick, airing now through September 30th. Municipal Court Judge Robyn K. Brown sits down with Barbara Reese to talk about what goes on in municipal court, how she got interested in the law, and about life in East Brunswick. You won't want to miss this show.
So, Robyn, tell us a little bit how you became involved in the law.
Okay, I grew up in Union County in Plainfield. I went to Bishop R High School, and then I went to Hampton University in Virginia. And while I was there, I started getting an interest in the law. At first, I thought I wanted to be a teacher. And then the more and more I thought about it, I said, well, you know what? I have a little bit of an interest in the law, so let me go to law school, because then I could always go back and be a teacher, but I may not always have the passion or the desire to go to law school. So while I was in law school, I wasn't exactly sure of what type of law I wanted to focus on. So I took classes in all different types of things. I went to Rutgers in Newark, and I happened to come across a program that was a study abroad program. So I spent the summer, about 2.5 months, in South Africa. And when I was there, it was 5 years after apartheid had ended. And I just learned so much, and that's when I really decided like criminal law was what I wanted to focus on. So that helped me make the decision. So after law school, I clerked for a judge in Essex County, and then I joined the prosecutor's office.
And during your time in South Africa, was it in a law internship?
Yeah, I went with Howard Law School actually sponsored the program. So if my memory serves me, it was probably about 40 or 50 students who went. And we took comparative constitutional law classes. And it was just amazing to be out of the country, to see, you know, just how great it was to be in a democracy, and, you know, but also realize, you know, people are victims of crimes, people are accused of crimes, and that's really what piqued my interest in the criminal law setting.
Tell us a little bit about some of the things that happen at the municipal court.
Well, what's most popular is traffic offenses. So we deal with, you know, speeding tickets, driving while intoxicated, running red lights, unsafe driving. That's the most popular things that people know of. Some of the less popular things, we deal with neighborhood disputes, violations of local ordinances, meaning if your dog's too noisy, if you've cut down trees and you didn't have permission, things of that nature. Every now and again we get some weights and measures, vehicles on the turnpike, and they weigh more than they're supposed to. So those are the less common things, but we see a bunch of different stuff.
Now, previous to your coming here to East Brunswick, you had many years of experience as an assistant prosecutor.
Yes.
In several counties. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I started my career in Essex County. I was a prosecutor there for about 4 years. And then I was a prosecutor at the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office for about a little over 8 years. So, and at one point in time, I was actually assigned to be in the prosecutor's office. You're broken up by town, so I was the East Brunswick prosecutor for a little while.
And how's been the transition from that to being a municipal judge?
The transition's coming along. Municipal court is much more fast-paced. That was the biggest challenge. As a prosecutor, you have a caseload, but a day you may have 5-10 cases on an average day. Some days obviously are much more, but here we can have anywhere between, I'd say, 70 and 100 cases a day. Wow. So the pace goes much faster.
Now, again, let's go back, because education is a big goal of why we have these kind of shows. If a kid is looking into the law, what's some of your advice to them starting out? Let's say they're in East Brunswick High School and they're thinking, I might like to pursue a career in the law. What are some of their options, some of their avenues?
Well, after they go to 4 years of high school, then they'll go to college and then start applying for law school. If you go, they can go part-time or full-time. The thing with law school is you don't necessarily have to pick like a major in law school per se. You go, you take different classes and different types of law until you ultimately decide what interests you and what part of the law you want to go into. My suggestion to anyone who wants to go into law school is really think in your heart what interests you, because no matter what it is, the law affects it in some way. So that's my advice.
Remember, you can catch this episode of Totally East Brunswick in its entirety through the end of September. Saturdays and Sundays at 7, Mondays at 4, and Wednesdays at 8 and 11 p.m. And as always, as video on demand at EBTV3.org. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching.